It is 6 o'clock. We'll call this December meeting of the Lenoir County Board of Education to order. First item is the invocation. Ms. Diane Lynch.
Let us pray. May the words spoken in this room tonight be beneficial to the students, parents, staff, and administrators in our school system, and may we be led by the guiding principle to always base our decisions on the best interest of our young people. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is to welcome our new board members, and I believe Ms. Stroud is here to administer the oaths of office.
Place your left hand on the Bible, please. Raise your right hand. I
Billy Davis,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, so help me God.
do solemnly swear that I will support I, Billy Davis,
Do further solemnly and sincerely swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God. I
Billy Davis,
do swear that I will well and truly execute the duties of the office of Lenoir County Board of Education according to the best of my skill and ability and according to law, so help me God.
I do.
Come around. If you raise your right hand, I
W.B. Anderson,
do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. I
W.B. Anderson,
do further affirm that I will faithfully and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability. This is my solemn affirmation. I
W.B. Anderson,
do affirm that I will well and truly execute the duties of office of Lenoir County Board of Education according to the best of my skill and ability and according to law. This is my solemn affirmation.
Thank you, ma'am.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. I do further solemnly and sincerely swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God. I do swear that I will well and truly execute the duties of the office of Lenoir County Board of Education according to the best of my skill and ability and according to law, so help me God.
Next item on our agenda is the election of the board chairman and vice chairman, and we will turn it over to Dr. Mazingo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I told him I was going to try to get a few motions passed before I did this, but maybe we'll just get right to the heart of it. According to state law and school board policy, the first meeting in December is an organizational meeting for the Board of Education. For this board, that means the election of a chairman and a vice chairman, the board's officers. So now the floor is open for nominations for chairman.
Mr. Superintendent, I nominate John Sargent as chairman of Lenoir County School Board.
Mr. John Sargent has been nominated for the position of chairman. Are there other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we will move forward with a vote for Mr. John Sargent for chairman. All those in favor, Mr. Sargent for chairman, please raise your hand. Okay. All those opposed? Mr. John Sargent, you are now the chairman of the school board. Congratulations, I think. All right.
I say thank you to my fellow board members. Do you preside over the vice chairman? Or?
It can go either way, actually. If you'd like to do the vice chairman, you may do so.
That'd be fine. I'll be glad to do it.
Okay.
Next item is the election of the vice chairman. So the floor is open for nominations for vice chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Bruce Hill as vice chairman of Lenoir County Board.
Mr. Bruce Hill's been nominated. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Seeing no other nominations, we'll call the matter for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Mr. Bruce Hill is the vice chairman. Congratulations, Mr. Hill.
Thanks, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the board chair comments. Like I said, I want to thank my fellow board members for just giving me the opportunity to continue to serve in this role. And I look forward to working with each of them in the coming year. Next item is the approval of the agenda tonight.
Motion to approve the board agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hill. I didn't catch the second.
Second.
Mr. Anderson. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, raise your right hand. The agenda is approved. Next item will be the superintendent's report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. South Lenoir High School won WITN's How Cool Is Your School competition. The popular rock band, I didn't know them until they, but it is what it is. Echo Smith performed at the school on Friday, November 21st, and I will say I enjoyed the performance. They did a great job for the kids and for the school, and I think the 8th graders from Woodington got to come over there, and it was a wonderful time. And South Lenoir High School is truly a cool school, so congratulations to them. The North Carolina Electric Cooperative's Bright Ideas Grant winners at Kinston High School were Laura Hanson and Vicki Wessel, and they were honored at a luncheon in Raleigh on November 21st. Heidi Jones from North Lenoir High School is the NCCTM Outstanding Secondary Mathematics Teacher of the Year for Lenoir County. As a former math teacher, that's a very special honor. She was recognized at the NCCTM State Conference in October, where she received an award from the state during that conference. The central office, schools, and other support locations will close in observance of the holidays on December 22nd, 2014, and will reopen on January 5th, 2015. And our next board meeting would be Monday, January 5th at 6 p.m. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Mazingo. Our next item on the agenda is public comment. And I understand that no one has signed up to speak to us. So moving on to the presentation portion of the agenda. First item is the Individualized Learning Program. Ms. Diane.
We do have a third ILCPS update for you tonight. And this one is on student deployment. Our first one, if you recall, was on Montlew's visit. The second one was on teacher deployment. And tonight we have 3 of our digital learning specialists to present to you an presentation on the student deployment. So I'll ask Melissa Lynch, Shanella Roberts, and Nick Sovey to come forward and have their presentation.
Evening.
Nice trail.
I am Shanella Roberts, and I am the DLS at Southeast Elementary. And we're going to start by just actually talking about the parent sessions. The first step was actually preparing the parents for the one-to-one initiative. And most of the DLSs took their open house night as a way to introduce what the One Initiative was, the importance of actually attending the sessions, and also discussing how the iPads would be beneficial for the students here in Lenoir County. We also talked about the importance of the paperwork that needed to be completed in order for their child to receive their iPad, and also address any kind of questions or concerns that they had at that point in time. The second step was to actually meet with the principal to establish a date and a time for the parent sessions. Also, at this time, the Apple IDs were distributed amongst the students, as well as the frequent asked questions for the parents. And the Apple IDs at this time was very important to be distributed and returned to the schools as soon as possible, because without the Apple IDs, the students were not able to set up their iPads, as well as not able to receive apps through the MDM. After the dates were established, the next thing was actually getting the word out to the parents. We went with using Connect Ed, newsletters from the schools, as well as Facebook, because we know most of our parents have a Facebook page, as well as using the school website. We wanted to get the parents in. Without actually attending the parent session, the students would not be able to receive their iPads. And then the last step was the actual parent night. During the parent night, there were 3 important topics that were discussed, which is the digital citizenship, that discussed the pros and the cons of using the internet and how to use the internet safely, as well as the procedures and policies for the students and parents. And the procedures and policies actually cover how to take care of the iPad, or what to do in case of vandalism or if the iPad was stolen. And then we also revisit the Apple IDs again, making sure that parents actually sign the Apple IDs forms.
Another big focus for us was preparing our teachers and our students for student deployment. A priority for us in the beginning was to make sure that we had some consistent iPad expectations consistent across the district. And the reason for this is because when we have students who move from one school to another within our district, we wanted to make sure they understood the importance of iPad care and use. So we spoke with our teachers and we got some great feedback, and then as a team we created the document that you see, which is our iPad expectations in our classrooms. So our teachers are doing an excellent job of teaching and having students model these expectations in preparation for their devices. And one thing we've seen as we've been in the classrooms is our students are excited about the expectations. They're able to show you what it's like to hug it like you love it, and to use the iPads for learning. So I know that our teachers are working hard to set this expectation in the beginning. Another priority for us was to make sure that digital citizenship lessons were being taught to our students in grades kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. We understand the importance of being good citizens in our community, in our schools, our classrooms, but it's also important that we teach citizenship in the digital community.
Now that our students have access to the internet in ways that they never had before, there are some pros and cons, as Shanella was speaking about, that provide us really good teachable moments for our students. So we do have ready-made lessons that our teachers are using in grades K through 5, and they're teaching the importance of being good digital citizenships, or good digital citizens. Also, the digital learning specialists at each school and the principal have worked together to establish what's called Tech Tuesday. And this is a time for digital learning specialists to meet with grade level teachers in their common plannings and to have small professional development sessions. And this is proving to be very important for our teachers because this provides them the support that they need to be comfortable and also prepared for iPads in the classroom. There's a lot to learn with this initiative, and it's very exciting. But as teachers are going about their daily duties of teaching our children, they do sometimes think, how am I going to learn everything? So Tech Tuesday has been a good outlet for us to provide training to them and to be there as support. The topics listed that we've already covered are iPad and Mac basics, digital citizenship, which we discussed the importance of teaching that to the students, and the collaborative component of Google Drive, and QR codes and QR readers, which you'll be seeing a lot more of as our students get the iPads. We do have a redelivery timetable that the digital learning specialists are working on for these Tech Tuesdays so that we can continually add to the professional development that the teachers are desiring and that they need. And something I think we're most proud of as a group of digital learning specialists is the document, Beginning Days of iPad Ideas. This was something we thought was very important for our teachers to have. It was 15 ready-to-deliver lessons that were created by us that really helped them to feel comfortable in knowing that this is something, the first day our students get the iPads, here's some great, useful, genuine ways to use the iPads in the classroom. And we really tried to focus on the built-in apps that were available on the iPad, so the use of the camera. Now, of course, we taught them how to take a selfie, but that was not the most important lesson. We also had lessons included, like if you were in kindergarten, for example, learning about quadrilaterals. Then you could take a shape walk with your camera, and you could take pictures and do a photo log of all the quadrilaterals that you see around the school. These were just ready-made ideas that our teachers now have in their fingers that they're able to use immediately. And I think they're very happy to have that, and we're very proud of that document.
All right, so as you can see, we did a lot of planning and preparation to make sure that everything was in order, not only for the teachers, but the students as well, which led us to the past few weeks, which has actually been the deployment of the iPads or the devices. The way that we went about doing this is we kind of did it in two different sections. We did the kindergarten through second graders, and then the third through fifth graders separately. And our reason for doing this was just the different skill levels and competency of the students. With the kindergarten through second grade students, we actually did set up the iPads prior to deployment before bringing them to the schools, which we've been doing at Teachers Memorial. That way when we went to the school, we could have more of a small celebration and presenting them to the students, but they didn't have to actually go through the process of entering passwords and information, usernames. They were already set, named to the students. So when we brought them to the kindergarten through second graders, we kind of got them hyped up a little bit, and they showed us how excited they were. We did touch on some of those classroom expectations that Melissa touched on, that were already, the teachers were already covering with the students. But it was a small celebration, and the kids were thrilled to finally be receiving those after hearing about them all year. With the third through fifth graders, we actually allowed the students to set those up. We provided the students with the necessary information that they needed on a piece of paper, which they received before we came in with the iPads. We distributed the iPads, and then the digital learning specialist broke off into two teams where we could do two classrooms at once. And it was a step-by-step presentation where we walked them through it. You're going to put this information here, you're going to enter your Apple ID information here. And they actually took they were accountable for setting up their own, and they took some immediate ownership right there and then. So, having only been deploying that for the past 2 weeks or so, when we were in the buildings, you could really see the student engagement right off the bat before we even left the classroom, which was very, very exciting. As I mentioned, it was kind of a small celebration. We went there, the students had been looking forward to this since we've been talking about it at the beginning of the year. So it really was a special ceremony for them. When we were there was a strong sense that the students and the staff really viewed this opportunity as a privilege, as something that was special to them. It was not something that they just got. They really realized that not all schools are doing this, not all elementary students have this opportunity. So you can really sense that they felt that this was a great privilege, just from the minute they would put it in their hands. And also, I think something worth noting is, besides the fact that our students are very thrilled to use it as a tool to learn in the classroom, we really are instilling a sense of ownership and an additional sense of responsibility that are wonderful, wonderful life skills that these students are going to be developing as they're working with these devices, and they are their devices, and that's very exciting to them. Some of those faces are pretty good. You can really see from the reaction. Also, something that was excellent in this, we were anticipating this, but it was good to kind of reassure what we were hoping to see, is the wonderful teacher response that we've been getting. Whether we're in the school or we're hearing it from them, from the different digital learning specialists, or we've been receiving a lot of emails from teachers that the 15 ready to deliver lessons that Melissa was talking about, the teachers jumped right into them. Before we left the classroom, they were already getting started with some of those things, doing the photo tours and QR codes, doing different research on the iPads. But in addition to that, one of the things we were really excited to see was they were all ready to go beyond those 15 lessons we had prepared for them. Immediate implementation in the classroom and instruction. We saw a lot of the teachers doing things that we kind of had planned for down the road, but they're excited to get going with them, and that was really the greatest thing that we could see, is the students ready to use them, the teachers ready to use them, and it all going just kind of how we have been planning. So, and that bottom right picture, it kind of just looks like a flyer, but it is a photo of an iPad where a class was doing the week before Thanksgiving, doing some research on the Food Lion flyers, and they had to plan their own Thanksgiving feast and add up the totals for what it was. And that was, that's just little things like that. It's awesome to see them being implemented right off the bat. And there's a couple more happy students to leave you with there.
If you want to have a good day, go and join one of these deployments. It will warm your heart, for sure. These kids are happy, and they do feel that it's special. They do know it's special. One of the questions I was asked probably most often when we were discussing this idea is, what are kindergarten kids going to do with this? Well, I was talking with a kindergarten teacher today, and she was doing one of the lessons and told me that the kids actually started teaching her at some point in kindergarten. It is something that they, of course, take to naturally, and a lot of them already have some experience. If you've ever seen a baby do an iPad, you realize how early they start with these. I would like to thank the DLSs and all of the people that have worked on organizing this deployment. It would not have happened as smoothly as it has without the preparation that was obviously put in up front for this to go as well as it did. When you go to the school and watch them do it, it's just like clockwork. It just kind of literally just rolls out and happens. Everything goes just as it's supposed to go. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
We do have deployments this week, Wednesday at Banks Elementary and Friday at Northwest Elementary. So we would love for anyone to come and see the excitement that we've been seeing firsthand.
And our final deployment is on Monday, which will be Northeast Elementary. So,
If you have an opportunity to make one of those, I would recommend it. It is fun.
What were the parents' biggest concern? You said you had a meeting with the parents, and what was their biggest concern?
it typically turned out to be monetary issues. If there were damages, who would be responsible for covering those damages, which is in the procedures, and the majority of the time, if it's an accidental damage, it is funded by the district. But that was the biggest sense that we got. It was a lot of who's going to cover the cost of this, or is my student responsible enough, which we know they are, but proving that right now.
And we also know that is part of the learning. You know, we did speak to the parents about that this is, the entire process is a learning process for students. You know, teaching the responsibility of taking care of an iPad is really just as large as teaching the shape unit using the camera on the iPad. So once parents came in and heard from us and were able to see the benefits, I really, like Nick said, the majority of the questions were answered before we even got to the question and answer part.
What time will you be at Banks?
We'll begin at Banks around 8:30 on Wednesday.
One parent asked me to ask this. What about elementary and kindergarten kids? Are we going to still have, will our kindergarten kids still know how to actually write?
Yes. Yes. Being a first grade teacher, I can tell you, yes, we still know how to write. We are not replacing any of the excellent teaching and learning that we've done in the past. We're just enhancing what we've already been doing.
So they're going to still spend all the time that they had planned for writing and all that stuff?
Absolutely, and we have good plans in place to provide lessons in the future that incorporate both. So it's not just using the iPad, it's how the iPad can fit into a lesson that you're used to teaching, but can enhance the way you've been doing it.
Something caught my attention. You said, Melissa, did you say quadrilaterals in kindergarten?
Yes, absolutely.
Kindergarten's not what it used to be.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know what that was.
Let me ask this, what level of parental participation have we had in the meetings? I mean, the parents are required to fill out these forms before their child can have access to a device. What level of participation are we getting?
I can say at least right now, each school is almost at 100%.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
We have several schools that are at 100 and the rest are
Very close.
very, very close.
I would say every school is definitely in the high, mid to high 90s.
But I commend the schools because they've worked very hard. They've had multiple meetings, they've had individual parent meetings, so they've worked very hard to get all those parent permissions.
Well, that's fantastic. 100% parental involvement in anything is fantastic.
That's nice.
I mean, it just is.
90%.
You know,
That's true.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I have held my tongue long enough. Yeah. And I know some of y'all have heard this before. I've been on the board 10 years now, and when I got elected, I thought I knew everything about a school board there was to know. And I found real quick I didn't know anything about a school system. So what I want to do is try to learn as much as I could. And after 10 years, I've learned a lot, but I'm still learning. What I've also knew when I got on the board is that we had some very good people to work in this system. And the longer I've been on the board, and especially with this, because I started hearing about one-to-one soon after I got on the board and tried to learn as much as I could. So I'd like to commend Dr. Mozingo for getting to the point where we could financially be able to do it. I'd like to commend the board for being willing to take this step. And I also would like to, most of all, commend our staff. I don't know if people out there know it, but we have one of the best staff of any school system in the state. We have high quality people, and I've been to other schools, I've been to other meetings, I've seen what it can happen, and I have observed, and of course I've been on the committees, which I'm fortunate for that, and I've been able to observe just high quality people we have in this county, in this school system. And I like to commend our staff, our teachers, everyone, our parents, our students, everyone, for accepting this and being willing to because I think it was time. I think we need to do it. We need to do something. I've told people that I think this school board is a major force in this county and developing this county. I think there's 4 or 5 several things that school board is one of them, and we have to be proactive. We have to do things, and I think this is one of them. And I'd just like to commend the board and the staff for taking this step and doing such an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our group tonight?
Just to let the new board members know, we're doing this every month this year as we're rolling it out, so you'll get an update at each board meeting on what's going on with ILCPS.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the North Carolina School Report Cards.
So why do they get the good topic and I get this one?
Dr. Mazinga.
I guess now almost 2 years ago, the legislature approved a system of giving letter grades A through F to individual schools. The model was based on the Florida model. In fact, I think that the legislative leadership actually had a meeting with Jeb Bush at some point. And that's fine enough. Florida seems to have worked out how to do this, and it does seem to be having some success there, except they didn't take all of the model when they brought it to North Carolina, and that's going to create some major problems for districts like the North County Public Schools. Just a few facts before I talk about that a little more. The grades will be based on the 2013-14 school year, and yes, that ended 6 months ago. The grades were delayed till after the election, and I'll let you guess why that was. The grades are based on the school's overall performance and on the school's academic growth. 80% of the school's grade will come from performance, and 20% will be calculated on student growth. Now, in my opinion, that is absolutely the reverse of what it should be. You can't, as a teacher, you cannot do a lot about how the students come to you. Your responsibility is to take them further and give them at least a year's growth or more during the year that you have them and you teach them. So growth is the important issue as far as I'm concerned. The Florida model did have in it consideration for low-income students and the fact that they normally, especially in elementary grades, have trouble scoring proficient on the test, although they can show amazing growth with great teachers, which ours do. So, for example, in Lenoir County, I will predict that Northeast and Southeast, even though they both met growth and had several teachers that were exceeding growth in those schools, will receive a low grade simply because of the population that they serve, not because they didn't do an amazing job with the kids that came to them. We'll see, but I will bet you that they will be punished because they serve the communities that serve them, even though they serve those communities in an amazing way and showed that by more than meeting growth last year on the 2014 scale. So that's just a personal example. Later on, you will have an opportunity to look at a resolution as recommended or sent to us from the school boards concerning this topic. We will receive our grades on February 5th, 2015. So just to let you know, they will be here, arrive that date. I don't know how that corresponds with our board meeting. It's probably somewhere around that date. I don't either, but it's probably very close to your board meeting for that month. Okay, questions or comments? I am here, Ellen is here, she probably knows more, Diane and Becky certainly will be able to answer technical questions, and we will try to do our best and give you the information you think you need to know what's coming.
Well, something I want to say about that. I looked at what the legislature has done in this last session. Took away master's pay for teachers, took away the longevity, cut allotments for TAs, and then I look at this.
All right, call to order. We are now back in open session. Next item is personnel report with the addendum.
Motion to approve the personnel recommendations with the addendum.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor of approving the personnel report with the addendum, raise your right hand. The personnel report and addendum are approved. Next item is adjournment. Motion made by Mr. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Nobles. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, raise your right hand. We are now adjourned.
Wow.